want to hear what's going on with the Annie Guthrie situation and specifically the disappearance of Annie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. We're going to get into that shortly. Thank you to everybody that's in here. Before I get into the show, I got to say what's up to the family, man. Welcome to everybody who's in the building, all the people who make this show the great place that is it is so good to see y'all in here. Of course, we've got my beautiful, awesome, amazing Amy E is in here, of course, doing what she does, and that's be amazing. Good to see Amy in the building, as always, holding it down. And shout out to Amy. She does so much to help with the production of the show. So y'all make sure you show her some love. Go follow her on YouTube, subscribe to her channel, follow her on X. We're gonna be talking about Amy throughout the show because she's done a lot of great reporting on this as well. We've got my guy Les Cleaver is in the building, A Fitz, and a ton of new faces. My goodness, I can't believe everybody that's in here. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody where you're. Oh man, we've got people from all over the place. We've got some from Tennessee, Dallas, Fort Worth. I see y'all in here. Amarillo, Texas. Oh, shout out to the Texas gang, man. Good to see y'all in the building. All right, we're gonna get into it here shortly. Thank you to everyone that's in the building. Now, I don't ask for much on this show, but the number one thing that I do ask is that you all like the video on your way in. Likes are free. It helps the channel continue to grow. Lets the algorithm know you guys are enjoying the show. Shares the video, the channel, and this live stream with more people. And there's already a ton of y'all that like the video so far as well. 800 of you to be exact. So thank you to everyone that's liked the video. I appreciate y'all. North Carolina, Florida, Asheville is in here. Paris is in the building. Wow. Shout out to y'all, man. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in from across the world. We got Florida in the building. We got 2,800 of y'all in here, so I'm not going to waste too much of y'all's time before we get into it. Thank you to everyone that shares the video. I also will be reading super chats as we go throughout the show as well. So thank you to everybody that sends in super chats. I appreciate y'all for supporting and keeping the lights on here at the show. Thank you to everybody who's saying where they're from as well. It's good to see y'all in here. We've got Illinois, North Carolina, Ohio. Shout out to y'all. We got Georgia in here, Tennessee, Connecticut, South Wales, across the pond over there, England, New Jersey, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Norway. Wow. We got New York in the building too. Boston. Shout out to y'all. Man, Boston, we hurting after yesterday. Am I right? Goodness gracious. What happened in the Super Bowl? Everybody watched the Super Bowl yesterday. I know there's a lot of talk about the halftime show. There's a lot of talk about how the game went. Lord have mercy. We got Oregon in here, Indiana. Wow, 3,200 of y'all in the building. All right, I've done enough talking. Thank you again to all of you that have liked the video. Let's go ahead and get into it because I know y'all are ready to get in here. Dude, we aren't here for the Super Bowl. Yeah, I know. But hey, listen. Hey, if you're new to the channel, we're chilling. All right, we're talking. We're gonna get into the news again, but y'all enjoy the show. We're gonna have a good time. Also, make sure you let me know what you think in the comments in the chat because I love interacting with y'all and reading comments on the show as well. So we'll get into that. If you have any comments, if you have any thoughts about what we talk about, make sure you let me know, but keep it respectful. All right, we can even have differing opinions, differing thoughts on this, but make sure you keep it respectful. All right, and let's go ahead and get into it. So we've all been wondering what's been going on with this investigation into Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. And one of the main things that's been confusing about this investigation is what's going on with Nancy Guthrie. Some people now are even saying, was Nancy Guthrie abducted at all, which is wild to me. And there's been an investigation into her daughter, Annie. As we know, her house was searched. We talked about in another video. There was some brown bag removed, most likely 99% sure that was an evidence bag. And now we're hearing there are local reports from the news there and from the sheriff's office in Pima County that there were human remains found near Nancy Guthrie's home. So we've got the reporting here. Shout out to Amy. Y'all heard me shout her out earlier for reporting on this. If you don't follow her on X, make sure that you do that. You can follow her at @IamyLeigh on X. That's at IAMYLEIGH on X. And she has this to say. We've got an update from the local news. Human remains were discovered in Pima County, not far from where Nancy lives. Following reports circulated on local police scanners, the Pima County Sheriff's Department has confirmed the discovery of human remains at a residence near Nancy's home. Key details of the investigation. The initial report says the discovery was reported via a 911 call approximately at 5 p.m. on Saturday. Now, of course, the Pima County, their cold case unit and homicide division, the detectives conducted an extensive investigation at the property late into the evening. All right, while deputies are looking into the suspicious elements regarding the home, officials stated that there is nothing criminal at this time. Now, again, I'm sorry. Shout out to Amy for reporting this. When it comes to Pima County and their confidence, our confidence in their ability to conduct an investigation, it's hard to take anything they say at face value. We've already seen Sheriff Nanos, and shout out to him, but how he completely botched and mishandled the initial investigation by just giving it a quick look and then releasing it back to the family. Then the FBI came in and they said, well, we might want to take another look at this, so let's shut it down again. And they did that 2 more times, which is sad. So when they say, oh, okay, well, there's nothing criminal at this time, I find that hard to believe from Pima County, because you've got the sheriff taking heat because he was at an Arizona basketball game, seemingly uninvolved in what's going on, right? Now, also, Pima County confirms and alleges that this may be or may not be connected to Nancy Guthrie's case. The investigation remains active as authorities work to determine the circumstances surrounding the remains. So shout out to Amy for posting that as well. As we know and mention, that the FBI and local police and law enforcement have been searching the area on what's been going on with Nancy's home. Recently, they've been searching and looking in this manhole, the septic tank, all the areas surrounding there. And of course, Fox had the drone footage from the area that they were searching near Nancy's home. And shout out to News is Dead for posting this over on X. They say law enforcement intensifies Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping search at a property. Pima County Sheriff's Office officials have returned to Nancy Guthrie's Tucson home again. This is in the last 24 hours.
If they find that body, they will make an arrest. They will have a case. 100%. 100%. If the remains they found belong to Nancy, if her remains are found on that property, that will put them closer to those who are participating in this. Which, once again, like I said, I believe she was dead on arrival, right? As soon as they came in there, they took her out. I believe no kidnapping actually happened. Now, I didn't think they were that stupid to put the body remains on a property. I mean, I thought it would take them like 7, 8, 10, 20, 30 miles away and bury them somewhere. Now, let's see how true that is that they found remains, because if they're remains, those are hers. Who else would they be? Unless they've been other victims. But if they ID that body as Nancy on her, they will make an arrest. Probably within the next 48 hours. 100%. Because then the medical examiner can examine that body and get a clear, and it all will show that the kidnapping was a hoax. Now they're going to find out who wrote them faulty ransom notes, because they were kind of lame. Oh, we got her Apple Watch and we got her Pacer, just so you know that we got her. What the fuck? You just in a video for proof of life? Yeah. Anyway, America doesn't pay. So once the police get involved, nobody's going to pay. As soon as you get that money, they're taking you down. And then who's going to kidnap, once again, an 84-year-old lady who's probably going to die before you even get to the designation? Then you're going to have proof of life. Then you ain't going to get the money. Then you will get the money, you still get caught. So that's just Kidnapping is a 100% losing proposition when it comes to ransom and trying to get money out of it. Nobody ever wins. Even in the 60s and the 70s, nobody wins. When you send a ransom note out there, you're getting caught. You're getting caught. So there's no way. No way. So I don't know, what's going on here.
Authorities are using a pole to probe a manhole located behind the residence as a part of an ongoing kidnapping investigation. Multiple law enforcement vehicles and personnel converged on the property, with officers conducting what appears to be evidence collection efforts near what authorities describe as a possible water drainage area or a manhole. It was originally reported that it could have been a well of some type. We don't know what they're looking at, and we're still going to hear and going to get an update when it comes to this investigation today. The activity marks another phase in the extensive search for 84-year-old missing mother of the Today Show host of Annie Guthrie. As we know, investigators have maintained proximity to the property despite media presence indicating an urgency of their examination. The search comes as the ransom demand for Nancy Guthrie's safe return specifies $6 million in Bitcoin before 5 p.m. today. Now, that wasn't confirmed until recently. We were wondering, is it actually $6 million? Is it going to be in Bitcoin? I've heard many reports on what the amount is and how they want it to be paid. We don't know because we still haven't gotten a lot of information, not only from the FBI, but from the Guthrie family themselves. So we don't know how that's going to be paid. With it being paid in Bitcoin, with someone who's familiar with crypto, to me, it seems strange because it's very easily traceable, especially by the FBI. No suspects have been identified in connection with the kidnapping. We'll get into Annie later, which authorities believe occurred on January 31st, 2026. The FBI continues to assist local law enforcement and has offered $50,000, as we know. Let's check out this video and see what this drone footage was showing from Nancy Guthrie's home.
There's something happening over there. We don't know exactly
y'all
the
pray.
nature of it. What can you tell us from your vantage point?
Hi, Kevin. I can set the scene here for you. About an hour and a half ago, we had a sheriff's deputy come up, park in front of the home. That caught everyone's attention. Now, not too long ago, within the last 20 minutes or so, we saw an unmarked vehicle with law enforcement drive up. The two spoke, they got back in their cars, and then we saw yet a third member of law enforcement walk up. 3 people walked to the back, 2 to 3 people walked to the back, and you can see them now. And they are what our drone team is describing to us. The Fox flight team is describing this as possibly a manhole. I heard Jonathan say that it could be some sort of water drainage. Either one of those is possible. We're not quite sure, but they've been poking around in there almost like they're looking for a sample of some sort. Looking into this area. We've been kept back just a bit, actually. Usually when they have some sort of activity here at the site of Nancy Guthrie's home, we're often pushed back. The media is pushed back so they can do their job. Clearly, they're not concerned about that right now because we've all been allowed to stay as law enforcement continues its work to the back. Kevin?
Now, again, listen, when it comes to this situation, we've had a lot of speculation about what happened here. And specifically about it being a kidnapping. I actually even had someone in the comments say, why do you keep saying alleged kidnapping? The reason I keep saying alleged is because we don't know. There's a lot of information we still don't know when it comes to Nancy's disappearance. All we know is there's blood found out the residence. We know some cameras were smashed, and we know her heart monitor was disconnected. Everything other than that, we haven't actually seen anything. TMZ says they have a ransom note. We don't know if that's the one that was actually verified. We've heard from Savannah Guthrie and her family. We haven't heard much from the FBI. We definitely haven't heard anything from Pima County other than he's not going to talk to us until there's a major break in the case. So we got to figure out, and we want to find out what's going on here. We got CBS News that's going to talk a little bit more about evidence that's being collected at Nancy's home.
Continue to search for clues related to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. It's been more than a week now since the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie was first reported missing. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly says authorities are doing everything they can.
We know they're doing everything they can, to bring her home. Every little bit of information, every clue, every tip could be the one thing that solves this case.
Jonathan Vigliotti has been following the investigation and joins us now from Tucson. Jonathan, the video the family released just seems more
If they find that body, that family's going to jail. I think all of them are involved. I believe Nancy. I mean, not Nancy, but I believe Annie, Savannah, the husband, Savannah's husband, and Annie's husband. I believe all four are involved. I believe all of them have something to do with it. Why would they take the grandmother out? Well, I have a few theories. Maybe she was a burden. All the hospital bills add up. She's probably paying a lot of money to go to the hospital. Who's covering the hospital bills? She's 84 years old. She's not working. So she probably depleted all her money that she saved up, probably. Maybe Savannah was covering the bills. Maybe. Or maybe the sister, Annie, husband, needed money. They probably asked Savannah why did they never help her, or why else she never helped them. And she came up with a plan. Well, mom has a insurance policy out, and probably, and you guys are on it. Because I told her to put you on it. And she probably told her that, oh, yeah, I told mom to put you guys on it. Because the mother probably would have put Savannah on there, but they're like, no, I don't need it. I'm pretty good, well off. Maybe you should put Annie on there. And once Annie found it out, she made the call. The husband of Savannah and the husband of Annie, I believe both were co-conspirators in moving that body. So, because he needed help moving that body. So, I believe, it's an in-house job, no doubt. I'm 100% convinced. But how it was done and executed, it seems to me that it was people who who was on a mission, right? Somebody who was on a mission. So let's see what else we got going on.
There are so many unanswered questions in this case.
For sure. To help us better understand how investigators are working it tonight, Fox 10's Ashley Rodriguez spoke with a former FBI agent. So, Ashley, what did he have to say?
Yeah, with this new development, there's even more unanswered questions. This case is very odd. Even a former FBI guy will admit that. But Lance Leasing told me today that most abduction cases, if that's what this is, are solved through tips and cell phone data, which is why it's a good thing Pima County is partnering with FBI investigators who can bring the manpower to help sort through this massive workload. In sorting through the case of Tucson's missing 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, former FBI agent Lance Leasing says what we're all thinking.
Like Hollywood makes these feel like stranger abductions are common. They're not.
The public assumes Nancy was abducted, although what happened remains a mystery. If she was, Leasing says abductions are usually motivated by money, passion, or ideology, and all are extremely rare. And he especially doubts the legitimacy of the 2 ransom notes sent to TMZ and KOLD-TV in Tucson.
In most cases, a ransom note going to a media outlet is for an ideological purpose. Like you want to get your message out. You've got something to say. This victim doesn't scream that. This is an 80-year-old grandmother.
Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano says there are lots of leads coming in from the public, generated in part due to daughter Savannah Guthrie's celebrity.
There are a lot of factors in this case that might break it. but 9 times out of 10, it's public tips.
Leasing believes Nancy was targeted based on the geography of where her home is. North Camino Escalante is not obvious and hard to find, but the remoteness and fewer people might be helpful, making suspicious activity and crucial cell phone and electronic data easier for investigators to capture.
A case like this, they likely planned this for days, if not weeks prior to this. So you would have seen that suspicious activity for a period of time, and it gives you more opportunity to collect that.
So leasing says that investigators are probably looking at any grievance that people may have with Savannah as well, or even NBC News. But the reality is the longer this takes, the worse the outcome for Nancy.
Yeah, Ashley, now that we have this new development with the crime scene tape up front going back up after it was taken down pretty quickly after this all happened, did he have anything to say about that when it was all taken down?
So I mentioned during the press conference on Tuesday that the reporters were asking the sheriff, should the public be worried that there's suspects, possible kidnappers walking around their neighborhood? And he said, no, this is such a rare case. I don't think the public is at any risk. When I told the FBI agent that leasing, he said, that's odd. If we don't have any suspects, why would you assume that the public is not at risk?
Exactly.
Now, something else that came up during the press conference is that they collected DNA, which is an arduous task because we're talking about they're swabbing doorknobs and they're swabbing for fingerprints, and there's so much DNA in there. So then they sent all that to a lab. They were waiting for those results to come back. So maybe they got something that came back and they need to put the tape back
That's
up.
interesting.
The other thing is you can swab for DNA, but the only way you have a match is if that suspect is already in the system. So there's so many factors.
in the CODIS
Right,
system.
the CODIS, yeah.
There can't, I keep coming back to this. It's very basic. You don't pull Miss Guthrie out of the house unless she is of some value to you. If it's a robbery, you hurt her, harm her, disable her, maybe even kill her and leave no witnesses and take what you want to take and steal what you want to steal and get out of there. To remove her means she is of some value to whoever took her. And that just speaks to a ransom situation and abduction.
You said extortion earlier. And if that's the case, that's a good thing because they're going to want to keep her alive.
Right.
We have been reporting that she needs medication, that if she didn't have in 24 hours, it was very serious, maybe even fatal. What did they know?
That lady is deceased. That lady is no longer with us. She was gone before she left that house. Yeah, she left the house already down. This was once again a well thought out plan. I agree. But they plan to take her out. Period. The letters are a hoax. Come on, this what makes me think Nancy has something to do with it. Because who would have the connections to send a letter like that to the news outlets, to TMZ? It has to be, it has to be somebody with that. Only one that got that type of connection is Nancy. She's been in it over a decade. I think 15 years Today, which is a very big outlet. It's very popular, very well known. So, that's why I think she's involved. I think this is a family affair, and there's nobody else to look. There's nowhere else to look.
Did they know that she needed medication? Are they keeping her safe? Are they trying to get something out of it? Something else he brought up was if it is ransom, they would have sent that note directly to family and they would not have wanted law enforcement involved. They would want that money immediately. We are now, how many days removed?
4 days.
So this is just not adding up. Nothing makes sense.
No, I know. I'm with you on that. Very strange. Ashley, thank you.
All right.
Well, we will, of course, keep you up to date on all of this information on the abduction of Nancy Guthrie. And we will bring you the very latest on our website, fox10phoenix.com. And that goes fox10phoenix.com/Guthrie if you want to get all of that particular information, or you can scan the QR code on your screen right now.
Here now with all the latest on the developments of today. She's the host of Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace is back with us. Okay, we have a lot to unpack from what Harvey just said and a lot to unpack from that presser from earlier today. Let's start with Harvey and what we were able to glean from the information he just gave us.
Okay, number one, everything that Harvey Levin just said, I believe. I don't think Harvey ever would or is fabricating anything. So let's take everything he said at face value.
Never.
Number
would never do
two,
it.
we had already deduced that this is from the local area because it targeted local outlets, 2 local outlets and TMZ. And that told me a lot about the sender, where they sent it to. We see another family plea in the last hours from brother Cameron Guthrie, basically reiterating what Savannah said, but much, much more succinctly, stating again, we need to make sure you're real. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think, based on what Harvey has just told us, I don't think that the perp, if this is the perp, is going to have any further communications. Why? Because the more the perp communicates, the more likely it is he's going to get caught, right? The more communications you have, the easier it is to trace. We all know that. On the other hand, what's his alternative? If they're not going, the Guthries are not going to send the money, the Bitcoin, then what's his alternative? The whole thing is a bust. He may be cornered to the point where he does communicate. Now, here's another angle. Here's your deadline. It's 5 p.m. Bam. But, oh, hey, wait a minute. If you don't give me the money by 5 p.m., what about Monday? Would that work for you? See, I find that to be quite the dichotomy. Don't you?
I do and I don't. I mean, I'm paying very close attention, and Harvey using the term, and I've known Harvey for decades like you have. He actually is brilliant. He's great at what he does. He cares about people, and he did the right thing all the way across the board here. But he's saying that this note is saying that if you don't pay the money by the first deadline, he is saying the second deadline is more consequential. That sounds like a worst case scenario to me, Nancy. You don't have to, graduate from MIT or Harvard Business to figure that out.
Well, I'm just going to put it out there. It sounds like he's saying, and it is a he, it sounds like he's saying, if you don't meet the deadline on Monday, I'll kill her. That's what it sounds like. Because what's the alternative to that? Let's take this through, follow it through to its logical conclusion. What, he's going to kidnap her? He's already done that. He's taken away from her home. He's taken her away from her medications. This, though, this is the thing. What does he know that proves he's real? The location of the Apple Watch? I mean, I would venture to guess it's by her bed charging or at some charging station. But that in conjunction with what he knew about the floodlight and other indicia of reliability makes me think that this is real. So can we get past the is it real question and move on to how do we save Nancy? They may be out the money. If it were me, and I think if it were you, you'd try to pay the money and to hey with what the feds tell you to do. Another thing I noticed, Sean, is that apparently the authorities took out what we call a U-Fed out of Annie's home. It looks like a case on a briefcase. It's a box. And what it is Celebrite. I don't know. I saw it in public for the first time anyway, in the Alex Murdaugh case that was used to get all of his communications, all of his digital communications. It can get encrypted, it can get deleted, it can get cell phone, it can get instant messages, everything. So I know that they are and have probably finished combing through everything that the family had, and that's out of Annie's home. That's normal. But I wonder what it is they're looking for. This is turning into a digital case, Sean. That's what this is.
Well, let's then go to the press conference from earlier today, because there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, the timeline, they had dinner the night before, 1:57 a.m. Then, of course, the pacemaker is disconnected. The security cameras disconnected. All of that's disconnected. Apparently, I guess it wasn't operational. They didn't have a subscription, I read. And it's not late till late the next morning. And we have it up there when she didn't show up at church that, you know, they began to worry about it. So, you know, all the way across the board, what do you glean from that? Because I agree with you. I don't think this guy's going to contact them any other way. This seems premeditated, well thought out, and it sounds like a disciplined attempt, kidnapping, ransom attempt, assuming that's all real.
There's one more thing. She had a spike in her pacemaker at 2 a.m. So you've got them coming home. You have the garage door closing around 9:50, where she is brought home. You have the disconnect, and this is what I'm piecing together happened, Sean. I think the perp came in through the back, comes through the house. I don't know if that woke her up or not. Reaches around because she had that doorbell. It's a Nest, is what it is. Reaches out without getting caught on video and yanking it off, disabling it. That front door cam that we've shown over and over and over. At some point, she's woken up. You see a spike in her heart monitor. The pacemaker spikes, and within 28 minutes, it's no longer syncing. She's out. That doesn't mean it quit working. It doesn't mean she's dead. It doesn't mean it's her heart quit beating. It means that it's 20 feet beyond Bluetooth recognition. That's why a lot of people think, well, okay, she had a heart attack. That did not happen. So in that 28 minutes, she realizes what's happened, and she's out the door.
Let's go back to the bed being removed from the sister's house. Why did you feel that's relevant?
You mean the UFED? The UFED is a Celebrite device that tracks all and downloads all digital data. UFED, it's an acronym for a very long process of getting information from all digital components, everything.
So let me, can I press you on this a little bit and ask, because I think 99% of people don't know what this is. And just to be clear, if you're in your house and if you're on any type of Wi-Fi system, and even if you're using an encrypted app like Signal or WhatsApp, whatever it happens to be, that all that information would be stored on it. Even let's say if you don't have an iCloud, would it still be stored on it?
You can get everything that has been communicated on a digital device. Specifically, it's a Celebrite Universal Forensic Extraction Device. It can access everything that has passed on your phone, whether you think you're on a VPN virtual browser, private network. It can pick up all communications, all right?
But it looks like
it has been reported in one outlet that they came out with one of those.
Okay, they did that, but then they said very clearly today, they have not identified a suspect. They have not identified any person of interest at all in this case.
That's right.
That seemed to be a clear message also.
It did. And a lot of finger pointing going on. And of course, you do look at the family first, and the family knows this. Just like the husband is always the first suspect when a wife goes missing, the family is looked at first. Yes, they're going to look at the sister, her husband, the brother, everybody, even Savannah. They're going to look at them first. And that's what they did. And that was part of that investigation. Now, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. They're saying, we don't have a suspect. We don't have a POI, person of interest. But of course, Sean, they always say that. Why? Because once you target someone, all the constitutional protections shroud that person. They never come out and say, oh, yeah, we're looking at Tommy down the street. We think he might have done it. That's not going to happen. So they say, we don't have a suspect. We don't have a POI. On the other hand, they say, everybody's a suspect, and we haven't ruled anybody out. But I find it really hard to believe, very hard to believe, that Annie would sit there and Cameron would sit there knowing or suspecting it's a family member or a relative or even a distant relative, sit there on that video like that begging. I don't believe it. I do not believe it, and I reject it.
I'm with you. I think so far, your commentary has been dead on. Nancy Grace, we really appreciate all the time you've given us. Thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Bottom line, this doesn't matter time. I don't know. If they don't find a body, I believe if they don't find a body, there will be no arrest made. Because without the body, they can't prove kidnapping. They know there's presumptually is a kidnapping, but they don't have any suspects in a kidnapping case because there was never no kidnapping. If they find that body, then they could go under the murder. They can start the murder investigation, which then they can focus in on the family even more. But until they find that body, then they have a case already. They've already got enough evidence. If they wanted to, they got enough evidence to arrest or name a suspect, person of interest, right? They got enough. But they don't want to do it because they don't know they don't know for sure what they were charged in, right? So let's say they're interested in Annie and her husband. What would they charge them with? Because there's no evidence of them partaking in the kidnapping, right? They don't have that. All they have is they were last seen by Annie and her husband dropped her off at the house. So they are suspects number one, automatically. They're the last person to see her alive. But because most likely she's dead, but they don't know for sure she's dead. So now they're looking for the body so they can then properly charge probably who they're going to charge. Annie and her husband. And maybe even, I don't know about Savannah. It's going to be kind of hard. But I believe they might not charge them right away. Even they might put the press on them. Now, if they find a body, then they can put the press on them. We need timelines. We need where you were at between this time and that time. We need this and that. Yeah. Then that's when they can turn the heat up. But if no body right now, they can't charge nobody. They don't know how to question. They can't come at them no way. They can't say, well, are you the kidnappers? Because obviously they're not the kidnappers because they're the newsread letters. So then obviously the mother's not with them. So they can't say, oh, well, we think you kidnapped them because they don't know if there's a kidnapping. They're probably leaning more towards a murder investigation. That's what's going on. So until next time, I'm out.